Yeah, so now that I've got your attention, okay, no, I'm not calling you a disgrace. Not unless you're the type of person who orders toffee popcorn at the cinema. Not unless you're someone whose first kiss is with your cat. Not unless you pop into random funerals just to burp in the coffin. No, but what I want to talk about is an overall problem in English football. And that is that English home atmospheres are increasingly looking about as intimidating as a Bugs Bunny episode. Arsenal versus PSG just ate my soul with a spoon. Going to a football match is not like going to the cinema. When you're at the movies, you're there because you want to sit back and be entertained. Unless you're going to a sterile live-action Disney remake, in which case I can only imagine you'd be dragged there by your kids, or you're some lonely freak who's got a life-size cardboard cutout of Snow White by your bed. But if you're at a match, especially an epic Champions League semi-final, make some noise! Time and time again last night, we saw the Arsenal players having to beg their fans to get up and cheer. Declan Rice had to repeatedly ask the crowd to make some noise so often he must have felt like Pitbull in a pizza. These supporters need to understand that they are there to support the team even when they are losing. You shouldn't need the players to repeatedly have to remind you to cheer. Every fan who is lucky enough to get a ticket for this huge match, you are there to represent your football team in the crowd. You lot really are the 12th man there to scare the other team. But to all just sit in your seats, picking popcorn out of your teeth, you're just doing your club a massive disservice. Arsenal just welcomed PSG to the Emirates for the first Champions League semi-final since 2009. This is a competition the Gunners have somehow never won, which really does boggle the brain. Considering they were far and away the best side in Europe back in 2004. I mean, not only did the Invincibles not lift the trophy that year, but they somehow didn't even reach the Final Four. I mean, the semi-finalists that year were Monaco, Chelsea, Porto, and Deportivo La Coruña. The Champions League in 2004 was what the FA Cup was in 2008, when the semis featured West Brom, Cardiff, Portsmouth, and Barnsley. I'm sorry, but Deportivo La Coruña were in the semis, despite having just conceded 8 goals in a group stage match. Monaco were in the semis despite finishing that season with just 8 wins from the final 21 League On matches. New money Chelsea had just been recently smashed up by Charlton Athletic. Half of those semi-finalists have since been relegated. So yeah, 2004 was definitely the year where the Gunners left that trophy on the table. You would have assumed back then that a first Champions League crown is just around the corner. No, but here's your chance. All you have to do is navigate past a PSG team you had already beaten before Christmas. A PSG team who've lost Messi and Mbappe. And suddenly, you're then in a Champions League final, probably for a mouth-watering rematch against Barcelona. This is their biggest match for yonks. The biggest game since they faced Manchester United in the Champions League semis back in 2009. Yeah, Man United won 3-1. It was a game so easy that Fergie could flex by getting through to the final without even needing to bring Tevez or Scholes off the bench. I mean, Wenger would have eaten his mum's corpse to even get to pick either one. Look, the atmosphere before the match last night looked like it was going to be good. But are you telling me that all it takes to puncture the home atmosphere like a balloon is just one measly goal 4 minutes into the match? Are you telling me that for a Champions League semi-final, the atmosphere was only rocking for the length of a terrible Lady Gaga tune? Seriously? These fans were silenced quicker than the mums from Leaving Neverland. This is what PSG have been repeatedly doing since Christmas. I mean, they rocked up to a blistering Anfield in March. Ousmane Dembele scores after 11 minutes and shuts up the home crowd. Suddenly, the Liverpool fans were a nervous wreck, chewing their fingernails and squirming in their seats. Like an actress asking a certain Hollywood director for a job. It was the same deal 2 weeks ago at Villa Park. Yes, the atmosphere looked wild in that second half, but in the first half, when Nuno Mendes sticks PSG 2-0 up, it honestly looked like a Troy Deeney funeral. A bunch of brummies weeping in their seats. The Aston Villa fans looked like they were waiting for a bus after doing a 26-hour shift at the McDonald's drive-thru, where they were so bored they probably started pooping in the microwave for kicks. Luis Enrique has discovered the cheat code. Score an early goal in England, and you completely spoil the atmosphere stone dead. And for the rest of the match, all you can hear is the PSG ultras, who, to be fair, they do not shut up. Trust me. I've seen it firsthand. They spend the whole match jumping up with their shirts off, banging drums. The Aussie look like they're about to go to battle in Lord of the Rings. Mikel Arteta actually made an appeal to the fans before the match. What he got instead was a bunch of annoyed blokes with their arms folded and stony faces, as if they were just being forced to watch a tape on the big screen of their mother pooing in the bath. Don't get it. You ate 60 15 years to get yourself back to a Champions League semi-final. The last time Arsenal were in a Champions League final, Robbie Lyle was barely out of his 20s. Yeah, this is somebody who just always looked like he's 56. It's a long time ago, and you're telling me all it takes is one early Dembele goal, and you're all gonna shut up and sit there like bored blokes who are being forced by their wives to watch Grey's Anatomy in bed. Lads, I've seen this all before. I was at all 3 of Newcastle's Champions League home games last season, and honestly, the atmospheres, it was like Goldilocks stealing porridge from grizzly bears. The PSG game was a sizzling, red-hot atmosphere. The Borussia Dortmund game was completely dreadfully quiet, whilst the AC Milan match was something in between. Smashing PSG by 3 goals was utterly insane. The entire build-up to the match, the aura of knowing that Mbappe was in the building, and it was crazy from minute 1. Incredible. However, the next match against Borussia Dortmund, it was raining. I mean, the previous match, the fans couldn't believe they were welcoming other world-class superstars to St. James's Park. But Dortmund had none. Now, instead it was a bunch of nobodies like Rami Ben Sabina, Marius Wolf, and some kid literally born in a Sunderland hospital. And I'm gonna be honest, when Felix Lemaitre scored on the stroke of half-time, it's a bit like when you're a kid at a birthday party and your mate's puppy wheezes on your lap. Oh, you're gonna sulk in the corner, counting down the minutes until you get picked up by your mum. That was Newcastle versus Borussia Dortmund. Everyone was just miserable in the rain. And lads, I think the Geordie fan base are the best in England. But even they can struggle to create a cacophony of noise when they are losing the match. I remember last season when Manchester United needed to beat Bayern Munich to get out of the Champions League group, and they just meekly lost 1-0. The atmosphere looked about as scary as a Where's Wally puzzle. People nowadays, in modern football, are too self-conscious to try and create an atmosphere. That's it. You'll notice if your team is losing, if the players are delivering a flat performance at home, how difficult is it to get everyone else in your row to sing and cheer? Honestly, look around you and you'll just be met with the faces of grumpy blokes who look like they just walked in on their teenage son, drawing nude pictures of the Cocoa Pops monkey. I won't say that English fans only sing when they're winning, but they sure ain't chirping up when they're actively losing the match. Not really. And PSG have worked this out. PSG are fully clowning the Premier League. They're making a mockery of it. Luis Enrique has already this week questioned if it really is the best league in the world. Lads, I love this PSG team because I'm so used to looking at this club as being a plastic, fake-looking Barbie dollhouse. Neymar was the Barbie, Mbappe was the Ken. Trust me, you'll never catch him at a urinal. He's definitely someone who'd queue an hour for the cubicle. You don't want to see his secret. But no, for a league which prides itself on being so far ahead of everyone else, was there a single current PSG player who was ever close to a Premier League move? One. Just one. One actually did play in the Premier League, but don't brag about that too much, lads. Vitinha is an absolute Portugal midfield star who's almost definitely going to be invited to the next Ballon d'Or. Wolves gave him 5 starts. When he was on loan from Porto 5 years ago, the club literally had elite future midfield ballers like Pedro Goncalves, Vitinha and Morgan Gibbs-White barely used any of them. And lads, Vitinha is by far the best of that bunch. Nuno Santo must be now so embarrassed watching him play. He would start for every single club in the Premier League. And whilst at Wolves, they treated him as if he had bird poo in his hair. And last summer, lad, PSG outsmarted Manchester United by playing 4D chess. The Red Devils wanted João Neves from Benfica. Instead, PSG tricked them into paying £50 million for Manuel Ugarte, and then they used that money to buy Neves. Yeah, now Neves might be on the verge of winning the quadruple, whilst Ugarte is on course to finish 16th in the Prem? This is a beautifully balanced PSG side, who are aesthetically wonderful to watch. It's so juicy. They don't even need Marco Asensio around the club. It's great, and I hope they win the Champions League. But they are exposing English clubs on a regular basis. Score an early goal, and you shut them up. I mean, lads, do you think Galatasaray fans shut up when they're losing? Or Red Star Belgrade, or Marseille, Olympiacos, Besiktas, River Plate? Even the pre-match banners. I mean, look at Villa Park before their night with PSG. Yeah, that looks cool. That makes you know this is a Champions League night. Even though they then belted out the Europa League anthem. Yeah, Arsenal Stadium just said, make it happen. And had a basic cannon which looks like it was scribbled up on Microsoft Paint. Come on, guys. This is a Champions League semi-final. I mean, to be fair, after he wormed his way into the Eubank Ben build-up, I've got to admit, I'm kind of relieved there wasn't a KSI banner in the crowd. I mean, you never know with modern football trying to get down with the kids. And lads, I hate to say it, but there's too many Thogdens at matches these days. It does not help when you have people in the ground who don't actually support either team and are only there to boost their likes on the gram. I mean, there's neutral sections at Wembley for cup finals. Neutral section. Sounds about as cool as a vomiting pig. I mean, currently there are neutral zone tickets for this upcoming Champions League final being sold for £5,000. Disgusting. The biggest game in football, and at least 20% of the ground is just going to be full of fat dentists who have got the ball knowledge of a shoe. The kind of people who think that Pele is a type of Swedish cheese. Absolute horror. But how long, okay? How long until we see Premier League clubs bringing in neutral zones? Trust me, it's around the corner. I mean, can you imagine the ridiculously epic Man City title winner for QPR in 2012, where they needed their fans to cheer the ball into the net? Oh, if instead there was a corner of the ground filled with happy-go-lucky cricket fans who were just there to eat pies and have a laugh. Oh, doesn't that very concept just make you feel like you've eaten broccoli off your granddad's sweaty lap? Lads, the last time PSG reached the Champions League final, it was the easiest ever run to a final. Come on, they had the two most expensive footballers of all time in their team, and all they had to do was qualify from a group which included Club Brugge and Galatasaray. They then beat Borussia Dortmund in front of 0 fans. Then there was a one-legged quarter-final in Portugal against Atalanta, instantly deleting the crazy Italian supporters. And yeah, suddenly of course they were able to squeeze past Atalanta in a stadium emptier than an orphan's fridge. Then the semi-final, again, a one-legged match against RB Leipzig, where there were 60,000 empty seats. For PSG, that run to the final was so easy because the atmosphere was quieter than a dentist waiting room. And that feeble PSG mentality wasn't exposed like it was every other year in front of actual human beings. This is what PSG are trying to do this season. Their game plan is to shut down English stadiums by scoring early. In hindsight, it's actually pretty marvellous how those Aston Villa players managed to do what both Liverpool and Arsenal could not, and that is ignite an atmosphere from the fans. I mean, sure, they got a bit lucky with that deflected team and strike, but John McGinn went full Stevie G, smacking in an unstoppable long ranger into the PSG top corner. That was like Gerrard versus Olympiacos, and that was what got Villa Park rocking. And lads, look at the end result. PSG were coasting all night in 1-0 wins at Anfield and the Emirates. But look at what happened to those players when the opposition fans are on their back. They were clinging on for life against Aston Villa. Gianluigi Donnarumma had to make big saves. Villa missed big chances, honestly. That match could have easily finished 5-2 to Aston Villa. And why? Because the players fed off the fans. One of the greatest moments in Champions League history that I remember, okay, I was a kid and watching on the telly Liverpool's run to become Euro champs in 2005, and they were playing Olympiacos at home in a must-win group stage match, which it wasn't just must-win, they had to win by 2 goals. Yeah, Rivaldo sticks the Greeks 1-0 up. In modern day football, I think that would be bye-bye Liverpool. But back then, 20 years ago, the fans still roared on the team. And the Reds did score the 3 they needed to score on an epic night, including a Gerrard worldie. If the fans had not kept going that night, I have no doubt the Champions League final would have been AC Milan versus Chelsea in Istanbul. Ancelotti versus Mourinho. 2 future Galactico managers. That would have been pretty tasty, actually. But yeah, I mean, would that epic comeback happen nowadays? I don't know. I honestly don't. Look, Liverpool have still pulled off epic comebacks recently, yes. But that Barcelona night in 2019 is actually different because, yes, whilst Barca were 3-0 up from the first leg, they didn't actually score a goal on the night to quieten the Anfield crowd. So the fans were never deflated. But if Messi had squeaked an early goal, I'm telling you, the supporters would have been dead. And that Trent moment would have never happened. Instead, you'd have had Suarez, Messi, and Philip Coutinho clowning on Spurs in the Champions League final. Modern football is squeezing the atmosphere out of these grounds. Put away your phones! It's such a huge shame. It's becoming really dangerous for English clubs in Europe because PSG have created a blueprint for modern football. If you score early at an English ground, you're gonna win because the fans suddenly resemble moody teenagers who've just been grounded for stealing their dad's cookies. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know in the comments. Am I too harsh about this? Let me know. I don't know, but I think it's a big shame. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.